Hey y'all, welcome to this lesson of Herbal Medicine 101. I guess we'll call this Herbal Medicine, what do we call it, 1.5 in the series. You see, when the last 30 some episodes of Herbal Medicine 101, I actually recorded 3 to 4 years ago. And I was using an old webcam back then. It was old tech. It was a couple years old when I used it, and things are a lot better now. Um, just using natural light here. We're going to see how this one goes, but the resolution on this one should be a lot better. The sound should be a lot better. I'm using now my professional podcaster's microphone that I use on my podcast. And actually, I just ordered a new camera. It's video camcorder, much nicer, much higher resolution even than this. That's going to allow us to go out in the woods to identify plants, and I'll be able to show you, I'll take you out with me. I'll show you how to identify the plants, and then I'll tell you about the medicinal uses of the plants, and maybe we can get into some more bushcrafty type things, and just have some fun. And so this is going to start getting a lot more interactive, but of course it's also late summer right now. As I record this, let me see, it is July 24th. There are a few things still in bloom, but of course, fall and winter, most things kind of, of course, go dormant. And so we're going to have some in class. We'll probably start doing like going out into the field recordings in the spring. But I'll do as much as I can this fall, as depending on how quickly the camera gets here and how quickly things stay in bloom. But today, I decided to bring one in. Okay. This is not the camera I'm going to be taking out in the woods. So the next 3, 4 videos will be, kind of in a classroom setting, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. But this is Mimosa. This is our southern Mimosa. I believe it, if memory serves, it's Albeza Julie Brisson. I remember that because part of my family's last name is Brisson. That's some of the Brisson, some of the French side of my family. And I'm not sure if the botanist who discovered this last name was Brisson or not, but it's easy for me to remember. It's Julie Brisson. Anyway, the mimosas are a large family. This is a leguminous plant. In the South, this is considered almost a weed. They're small trees. I think they're absolutely beautiful. I would never cut one down unless I had to. The reason is as in everything with the legume family, this is a nitrogen fixing plant. These leaves actually take nitrogen from the air, and through a bacterial association in the soil, fix it in the soil. So this is a self-fertile plant. For that reason, they can just take over, right? They usually don't get very big, but honestly, what a more beautiful, I can't think of a more beautiful tree. It's got these fern-like leaves. They're like in little fronds. If you get under a stand of these are transpiring. They actually cool the air. These beautiful pom-pom like blossoms smell like a combination of watermelon and roses. I mean, just wonderful. Why in the world would you cut this down? Actually, they don't grow in the mountains where I live. I'm in the sandhills of North Carolina right now, and I was pleased to find one still in bloom because we're actually a couple weeks out of season for this. So I had to stop, pull into a McDonald's parking lot, and run up a little berm and pull out my Swiss Army knife and cut this and jump back in the car before anybody told me to leave. And they will in Pinehurst, North Carolina. You do not go foraging in Pinehurst, North Carolina. Somebody will call the cops on you very, very, very quickly. It's an interesting place to be, to say the least. But I got relatives down here. Anyway, you've probably seen I've been on this back porch before in some of my previous videos. I like to have access to different environments. North Carolina is very varied. In the mountains, I have a completely different environment than the coast. The sandhills are completely different than the Piedmont. We have multiple zones and growing climates. I can find just about any herb in the world grows here, unless it's like truly tropical. But anyway, let's talk about the medicinal uses of this plant. First of all, this herb has become very popular in recent years. They call it the tree of happiness. Tree of happiness is actually a different tree that confuses people. This is mimosa, but it's called tree of happiness because a tincture made from these blossoms and these buds, unopened buds, and really the tender the tips of the leaves. A tincture made of this increases mood. It can help with depression, or it can give you a little boost. The mimosas all have an interesting psychological effect. Most of the research on mimosas has been done with the Australian mimosa, because from its roots, one can make the psychoactive psychedelic drug DMT. Far as I know, you cannot use this one for that purpose, and even if you could, I wouldn't tell you how. I'm not going to say it has no use. It certainly does have use in therapeutic dosages, but of course it can also be incredibly dangerous, so we're not going to get into that. I make a tincture of this tea, not for any mood-enhancing effect. I do it for two reasons. One, it's very relaxing. It's slightly sedative and antispasmodic. You have a little bit of the tincture and you're just like, you know, and it helps with pain. It's good. I like it. Two, although it has not been clinically proven with Albizia julibrisson, the mimosa family generally has antihistamine properties. Now, I make a tincture of this every year, and most every year. I miss one every now and then. But I use it as an antihistamine. It actually helps reduce mast cells in the body, which are part of the histamine response. This helps with allergies. It's almost more like Claritin or Zyrtec than it is like Benadryl or Sudafed, because it's actually blocking the reception of certain chemicals as opposed to reducing histamine. That has not been proven with this one, but this one hasn't been studied a lot for this purpose. I find that it works for me, so I'm giving you anecdotal evidence. You know, this is empiricism. We're learning through experience. We're constantly experimenting and we're learning. So while I don't have documented evidence that this particular mimosa has antihistamine properties, my experience is that it does. But, we're on three? Three, I would make the tincture any way you look at it, because these blossoms, as I said, smell like watermelon and roses. They are sweet. I will include them with kombucha or water kefir, and make a nice, soda with that floral scent. Infused in vodka, it is like the best cocktail mixer you can imagine. I mean, a little bit of that with just maybe a little bit of soda, and it's like, wow. And it's relaxing, and it's antispasmodic, and it probably elevates mood a little bit. I understand why people call it the tree of happiness. It is really, really nice. Now, if you're a farmer, if you're a gardener, I'm actually going to recommend planting these, even though they can be weedy. But what better? They fix nitrogen in the soil. After about, I'm going to say 3 years. I've got one that I'm keeping in a pot just so I can transplant it when I find a place to transplant it. It's too cold where I live in the mountains. I'm hoping to get a little property down the mountain soon, and I'd like to plant it with things I just can't grow at my home, right? Plant these. They will grow up, and all these leaves are up at the top, almost like if you think like a palm tree, how all the foliage is at the top and you've got like a long trunk coming down. Run your tomatoes up there. Tomatoes need nitrogen. This fixes nitrogen. You can have the best garden of tomatoes you can imagine if you have a stand of mimosas. Yeah. I mean, absolutely. That's like silviculture 101 right there. Clear your paths in between. You can mow these, so when they're about like that tall, you just mow them like grass, right? Let these grow in rows. Plant your tomatoes or something else that's really, hungry for nitrogen. And you don't have to buy fertilizer. You don't have to compost. You don't have to use manure. This wonderful plant that will also cool the air when you're out in the garden, give you a little shade when you're picking your tomatoes. Wonderful for pollinators. Bees and flies and everything love these. Butterflies love these blossoms. I mean, they just go crazy over them because they smell incredible. And what a medicinal tincture. So y'all, I'm going to do maybe 3-4 videos using this camera. Then I'm going to switch to the higher definition camera. We're going to try to get the lighting as perfect as possible. I'm going to try to do this real professional, Please subscribe, share with your friends, click like, and, you're not going to see a lot of herbalists doing hands-on like this. I'm going to take you out in the woods. I'm going to take you out in the field. I'm going to take you out in various regions in different parts and teach you how to identify and use some medicinal plants and edible plants. We're going to get into edibles really strong as well. The winter is probably going to be a little different. Not going to be doing a lot outside because there's not a lot growing, but I'm still going to give you an herbal lesson every single week where I show you the plant, maybe in the dried form, maybe in the fresh form. I don't know at that point. But I'm going to show you the plant and give its use. I want to do a whole series, especially this winter, on cooking with medicinal herbs. A lot of medicinal herbs are also culinary herbs, so you can keep your family healthy through the winter time using herbs in your cooking. It's going to be very exciting. I'm looking forward to it. So welcome to the first episode of the second series of Herbal Medicine 101. Run out while you still have time. Man, that is the best scent. That is literally the best smelling flower. Right behind me, I've got gardenia bushes. Gardenia cannot compare, okay? Gardenia is, like most people say, the best smelling flower. This is the best smelling flower. Go make some right now before it's too late. All right, y'all. I'll talk to you next time.